And she said, well, maybe we could start going to your church. I hadn't heard from that lady in years.
Bless her heart.
She called, and I didn't answer the phone. And when I call her back, it quickly hangs up. And I said, Lord, I just, my heart goes out to her because I don't know, what he may have done to her, that she can only call me when he's away. And, I can't call her back. If I call back, I don't know if the number shows up. I mean, it was crazy stuff.
Probably all those things. But I say that when I think back on my husband and our relationship when we met and we were courting in the courtship stage, anybody could have told me anything about him. I was willing to listen because I didn't know him. Mm-hmm. My cousin that brought him to my house that I met him through when they showed up at my house, he knew him, but he didn't know him. They just went to church together. Mm-hmm. So, back in the day when we were coming up, your mama knew they mama or they auntie or something. Well, baby, who are your folks? Mm-hmm. Because they trying to make sure y'all not related or whatever. So in that instance, we didn't have that because my family didn't know his family. So I was willing to, does anybody know him? What's his name? Well, I told people his name. Why is it what gets me these days is everything is such a secret. Well, you only hiding it from yourself because you're going to be the person that's living with them. Mm-hmm. So if you don't want anybody to know them and you hiding it so much, so that to me that's a red flag. Mm-hmm. To me, that's a red flag because what's the secret? Why you got to hide them? If this is the person that God sent to you and God had him just for you and you for him, you ought to want the world to know. Because this is God, right? Mm-hmm. So it ain't no secrecy in him. He reveals everything. So, they ain't lining up. It's something about this relationship doesn't line up with the word and you don't want anybody to challenge you in that area. Mm-hmm. But, you setting yourself up 9 times out of 10 for failure.
We're going to take a break right here. And then when we come back, we're going to switch gears because we have gotten away from the subject matter, but it's been so good. But I want to switch gears and I want to talk about parenting. Because we had a situation in our state where there was a little girl that was dropped off at a birthday party. And the parent dropped her off, didn't go in, speak to the people, tell the people that the child was at the party, drove off, and the child ended up missing and was found dead. So we want to talk about parenting when we come back and some of the things that we need to do as parents because, it's not like it was years ago. Everybody knew everybody. Everybody looked out. Even if they didn't know your child, they looked out for your child. So we're going to talk about that when we come back. So stay tuned to the Color Outside the Box podcast with your hostess, Princess Miller.
What's up, everybody? Trey here to tell you about one of the best gym experiences in Mobile, Embrace Fitness Training Center. Embrace Fitness is more than just a gym. We offer personal training, speed and agility training, golf simulator, golf fitness, boot camp classes, child care, and even powerlifting. We're open Monday through Friday, 5 a.m. to 10 p.m., and Saturday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. We love families, and kids are welcome. At Embrace Fitness, we believe that a family that works out together will stay together and live healthier and happier lives. So embrace the new you. We're located on Airport Boulevard near Cody Road. Try Embrace Fitness Training Center today. Your first visit is on me.
Princess Creative Productions can provide affordable and professional video services for small to mid-sized businesses. Our in-studio virtual set shoots start as low as $200. Let our expert get to work on your next video project. Call 251-421-4490 to book your next shoot.
And we're back on the Color Outside the Box podcast with your hostess, Princess Miller. And here with Elder Latranza Burell, and we're about to switch gears here and start talking about parenting. And so, as I mentioned right before we went to break, we had a situation here in our state where there was a young mother that dropped her children off at a birthday party. And, I listened to several interviews that the father did and one interview that the mother did. But this particular expose that I saw, this young lady revealed some information that was not told. And one of the things that was revealed was the mother dropped the child off at this birthday party in a housing project and they didn't know who the little girl was. I think her son may have known who the people were, but she expected her 11-year-old and the people at the party to look out for her 3-year-old. But she didn't have a conversation. She just dropped her off and went on about her way. And there was a stranger that came along, and they said that the child was not, if she didn't know you, she was not friendly towards you. So what the stranger did was offered her some candy. Of course, she wouldn't take the candy from the stranger, and they had video, surveillance video. He was dropping candy on the ground, and she was following him, picking the candy up. And then, you know, once they got out of eyesight of the camera, they got the little girl, and she disappeared, and she was found just over a week later. She had been she had been found in a trash bag in a landfill, and they said her clothes were burned, and she was suspected of being raped. I hadn't heard the final reports yet. Sometimes I've noticed with parents, they take for granted because, you know, our children now are smarter. They're more aware than they were 20, 30 years ago. And so they're like, okay, well, this child could take care of themselves, so I'm going to drop them off and they'll be all right. But they fail to realize that as a parent, it's your responsibility. When you drop a child off, you go in, see who is going to be watching your child. Make sure that you have established, I'm dropping my child off, and will you watch them?
Well, you know, I'm going to have to speak. As you know, I'm a social worker since been licensed since 1994. And I've worked in child welfare. I worked for the Department of Mental Health in confounds of contracting for 10 years. And I worked DHR, Child Protective Services. So I'm fully aware of the dangers of leaving children unattended. Or even supervised by the wrong people. And it grieves me to hear the other particulars that I hadn't heard about this situation regarding this child. And, you know, I have 4 children, 2 grandchildren. And 3 of the children are grown. And our youngest child is a 9th grader. And even before leaving her, dropping her off at high school, you know, the high school gives you gave us an opportunity to meet with the principal and various teachers in this program that she's in at this school. And my first question was, what are the safety precautions that you have in place to prevent people from walking on this open campus and taking kids? And they was like, okay, that's a good question, Ms. Burell. And they told us about the cameras in every building, outside every building, inside every building, and the patrolling that the janitors and resource officers, they got various these little golf carts riding around and all of that, and that, you know, they got locked buildings and all these things, because at 14 I'm still concerned about the whereabouts of my child, because I know based on what's going on in today's society and my past experience with molested and abused children, what could happen. And even now today, as old as she is, she just can't willy-nilly go off anywhere by herself. You know, she's still being closely supervised by people that I trust. And we don't do sleepovers. You know, that's just one thing we don't. You know, you stay at home at night, because I don't know what uncle, cousin, brother, or granddaddy gonna be at such and such house that may or may not live there, that's gonna come in the middle of the night and do something to harm you. You know, the only people that she's ever spent the night with a couple of church members, and at the church when it's shut-ins, you know, with adults, responsible adults that I know personally that's gonna take care of her. You know, we got the fair going on in our city today. You know, I'm just not going to drop my 14-year-old off with a bunch of 14, 15, 16, 17-year-olds call themselves supervising one another. You know, somebody, her dad's with her. And if he wasn't with her, she was going to be with another adult that I know is going to watch her. And we got to be diligent about it. But just as you said, because we don't have a village raising children anymore, when you see something that don't look right, it's probably not right. You be a intermediary for somebody's child. Because they saw that baby. Somebody should have watched that baby.
Another thing is, one of my things when we go out, I have a 13-year-old. I always forget she's 13, still to call her 12. I have a 13-year-old, and she's not allowed to go to the bathroom by herself. And, and at one point she was like, well, why I can't, I'm big enough to go to the bathroom. I know you're big enough to go by yourself, but for your protection, we go with you. Because there have been instances where parents have allowed children. It was a 6-year-old, I want to say, in our city years ago. It was that they were at a fast food restaurant. They let the 6-year-old go to the bathroom by herself, and there was a man in there that I can't remember if he did anything to the child.
He was video recording under the stalls. Children, if we're talking about the same situation. But I tell you, even with my son, our youngest son, up until he got probably about the 11th or 12th grade, it wouldn't be nothing for me if we had a restaurant or somewhere and he got to go to the bathroom, his dad wasn't there. I'm going in the bathroom. Is anybody in here? And if they, somebody in here, we're going to wait till they come out. And then I'm going to stand at the door because, boys are just at much risk of being molested or raped or taken as the girls are nowadays. And you have to be, be diligent just as diligent with them as well. But, we told our children early on, I don't care who it is. If somebody touch you, somebody say something inappropriate, and you feel a certain kind of way around that person, let us know. Because we're going to do something about it. And don't believe that they're going to be able to kill us or hurt us to keep a secret. You let us know. But we were diligent enough to make sure that we didn't allow them to be in the wrong places at the wrong time. Yeah, and
it doesn't matter where you are. We had a meeting with our youth at our church a couple of years ago, and we were telling them, guys, when you go to the bathroom, if you're under a certain age, even though our church is, the way that it's situated, you can see when a child walks out or whatnot. We have an adult at standby. If it's a smaller kid that went to the bathroom by themselves, we ask that an adult or a bigger kid go in there and watch out for them, because there have been instances where children have been molested at church.
That's so true.
If we go to a visit in church, we don't know them. Everybody ain't, on the same level.
That's right.
So if that child got to go to the bathroom, one of the bigger youth go with them, or one of the youth workers go. Because it's important that we watch out. Human trafficking is ridiculous.
And it happens here in Mobile. And I've, had the privy of being involved in seminars and conferences regarding that. And what they like to do is they like to frequent areas where they're close to interstates, where they can snatch and go. And notice most Walmarts and stores like that are close, accessible to interstates, because so people can get on and off quickly, so they can in there traveling, and then you bound to get the most money. You find Dollar Generals and Family Dollars on main thoroughfares, because that's to get the monies on the people, that even tourists passing by. They're not so geared toward the locals so much so, but just even people in passing, having easy accessibility to them. And that's what human traffickers target. Those type of public places where they can snatch and grab and be gone before they can be discovered, and they on the interstate and they gone before you can realize that your child or that somebody's child has been snatched. So we got to do our due diligence. Most at Walmart they have 2 sets of bathrooms, one at the front of the store, one at the back of the store. I don't recommend that you allow your children to go to the back of the store, because that's where the loading dock is. And they may be frequenting those areas. They can pull them and be out in a car waiting in the wings. And, and even as adults, we have to be mindful that we could be snatched. So mindful of where you park, and is it a van parked next to you? Is somebody watching you while you on the aisles in the store? All of these are things that we need to be more diligent about these days, because it's a real occurrence. I was reading an article. This was 2014. There was 64,000 black females, young adults and children missing in America.
Wow.
That was 2014. We're in 2019. I don't even know what the statistics are at this time, but that was a study I was reading about this past week on my job. And I was like, God, and we don't hear about them. They don't get the media attention that some other segments of our society to get their attention when they come up missing. And so that means we got to be more diligent in our own communities.
Mm-hmm. Even when you allow your teenagers to go out, there was a story some years ago where a young girl went to a hotel for whatever reason.
Wow.
And they found her, I want to